This is the Talking Sports podcast hosted by Peter DiBiasi and John Rocco Trumpbour. And welcome back to another episode right here on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. Guys, I appreciate you guys clicking on this episode. And the reason you guys either clicked it on Apple Podcast or on our main channel on YouTube is because it's NCAA tournament time, and we'll be breaking down the field of 68 and the road to New Orleans for the 2022 men's Final Four. I am super excited. We've never done a college basketball video on our platform, and we're super excited to break down a college basketball NCAA tournament. But before we do that, a couple notes. Obviously, you realize it is just me here, and JR is not here right now. JR right now is currently studying abroad in Florence. So for the next couple months, if you guys see us, it will just be me, maybe a couple guests, but I will be the main guy until JR comes back in middle of May. So we'll miss JR, but guys, don't worry, he'll be back in a couple of months. A couple of quick homework to do. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, drop a like, drop a comment. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to listen to this in just audio form, we are on Apple Podcasts. Just type in Talking Sports Podcast, drop a subscribe there. Also drop a review and a rating if you guys have the time. But YouTube is our main source, as well as Apple Podcast. Oh, before I forget that, if you guys want to go to any NCAA tournament games or any sporting events or any type of concert, go to our description below. Look for our code SeatGeek. SeatGeek, 20% off anything on SeatGeek. Excuse me, not 20% off, $20 off. I'm all over the place this morning, but $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Use code TalkingSportsPod. And you guys will get $20 off. All the information will be down in the description. But if you guys want tickets to any sporting event as well as any concert, you get $20 off. Talking Sports Pod on SeatGeek. Now, for the real business of the episode, we'll be breaking down the March Madness 2022 men's bracket. We're recording this Monday morning. You guys will see this Monday afternoon. Last night, the NCAA tournament dropped their field of 68. So I'm going to be going down, giving you my bracket. And we know, guys, the brackets are not always going to be correct because this is one of the hardest things to predict in all of sports. So I'm going to try to do my best. Obviously, I would say this is my one final bracket. I'm going to make a ton just because it's fun, win some money, all that fun stuff. But you know how hard it is to even get a remotely perfect bracket or anywhere near correct bracket. So I'm going to try to do my best, try to predict my Final Four. I'll give you my Final Four picks. You'll also see my Final Four picks and JR's Final Four picks on Instagram and Twitter on Thursday morning, right before the field of 64 begins their play. Obviously, we have the playing games the first couple nights, and then we have the real field of 64. Guys, starting in the West region, we have 1 seed Gonzaga taking on the 16 seed Georgia State. Gonzaga 26-3, Georgia State 18-10. I got the Zags moving on. There's only been one seed has ever lost. Obviously, we know UMBC defeated Virginia a handful of years back. I don't see this happening this time. Gonzaga moves on to the round of 32 in Portland. 8 seed Boise State, 9 seed Memphis. 9 seed Memphis at large bid out of the AAC conference. Boise State, the automatic qualifier out of the Midwest Coast Conference, defeating San Diego State in their in their tournament championship. Look, both teams are solid. Obviously, we had Memphis had huge expectations, started top 15 in the country in the first AP poll. Kind of took a little while for them to get going. They got back to the tournament, finished 21-10. I think Penny Hardaway with Jalen Duren and just the crew, Landers Noley, can be too much for Boise State. Boise State kind of snuck in at the last second. I got the 9 seed Memphis moving on to Gonzaga. Also, guys, quickly, comment down below your Final Four picks and who you think are making the Final Four. Also, if you guys want to drop an upset, why not? 5 seed UConn, 12 seed New Mexico State. My first big upset. I got New Mexico State moving on to the round of 32, defeating UConn. UConn, not a great shooting team. Really only have RJ Cole, that's a legit shooter. Tyrese Martin's too inconsistent for me. Whaley doesn't have enough offensively. Obviously, Polly off the bench is a good shooter, but doesn't play defense. Sanogo is just too inconsistent down low. This is the 12-5 matchup, and we know, guys, 31 out of the last 36 NCAA tournaments, at least one 12 seed has defeated a 5 seed. I got New Mexico State upsetting the UConn Huskies, 12 seed over 5 seed. New Mexico State's going on to the round of 32. 4 seed Arkansas, 13 seed Vermont. I actually got to see Vermont play in person. I go to Providence College, Back in the fall semester, Vermont came down to Rhode Island and they took on the Friars. Province defeated Vermont, completely forgot the score of the game. But Vermont's a very solid team, very disciplined, can shoot the ball, can do a lot of good things. I think just Arkansas is too good. They're too highly touted. They had actually an inconsistent start to the year, finished very strong, one of the hottest teams in the country before losing in the semifinals to Texas A&M in the SEC tournament. I have Arkansas with the 4 seed win over Vermont, moving on to the round of 32. Moving down the West Region bracket, guys, we got the 6 seed Alabama versus the winner of Rutgers Notre Dame. No matter who wins that game, I have Alabama winning. I know they're inconsistent, but they have a Final Four potential. Javon Quinley, JD Davidson, their guards in the backcourt, they're too highly touted offensively. Do they see them getting a Sweet 16 Final Four type of team? I don't know, but they're good enough to beat either Rutgers or Notre Dame in the first round. So I got Alabama moving on as a 6 seed. 3 seed Texas Tech, 14 seed Montana State. Look, these are one of those upsets that might happen, might not, or like Oral Roberts or Ohio State over like Purdue losing last year. It's just not Purdue, Iowa losing last year and Purdue. But I got Texas Tech moving on. They're just too talented. You have Arms, you have Shannon, you have McCullers, you have O'Banner, who was good for Oral Roberts last year. This team is too veteran led. They're such a good defensive team, which good defensive teams in college basketball usually don't always win in the regular season, but they win a lot in March. I have Texas Tech as a 3 seed moving on to the round of 32. 7 seed Michigan State, 10 seed Davidson. I got another upset coming for you. Davidson, losers in the A-10 championship to Richmond, which Richmond probably stole a team's bid, likely Xavier of Texas A&M. I don't like Michigan State. I've always been a Tom Izzo guy, but Gabe Brown, Max Christie, that team is too inconsistent for me. Davidson is just a very disciplined team, almost won the A-10, and they still get in without winning the A-10. So props to Davidson. Good shooting team, 27-6, have a very stout defense, and I think Davidson moves on to the round of 32. And then we have 2 seed Duke versus CSU Fullerton. I don't want to get into this. I don't see Duke losing in the first round. Paolo Banchero, Mark Williams, Jeremy Roach. This team's too good. Wendell Moore. I just don't see Jeremy Kills. That's what I was trying to get at. I'm trying to spit out, guys. It's kind of tough when you don't have a partner and you're doing by yourself. But I got Duke moving out of the West region first round. Going to the round of 32. How I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna start with the West region, East, South, Midwest. I'm gonna give you my pick out of each region, and then I'll break down the Final Four. Gonzaga, Memphis, the 1 versus the 9. The Zags are gonna be too much. Chet Holmgren, Nolan Hickman, Killian Tilly. It's just too good of a team. No, not Killian Tilly. Drew Timme. Gonzaga lost in the national championship last year at Baylor. They're not losing the round of 32. Gonzaga goes on to the Sweet 16. 12 seed New Mexico State, 4 seed Arkansas. Mexico State's little miracle run has ended in the round of 32. I have Arkansas and the Arkansas Razorbacks going to the Sweet 16. I think New Mexico State got through a little fame of glory by defeating UConn, but their run ends against Arkansas. 6 seed Alabama, 3 seed Texas Tech. This game would be super interesting to watch, and I hope it happens. You have one of the best offensive teams in the country versus one of the best defensive teams in the country in Texas Tech. One of the best offenses for Bama. Texas Tech, one of the best defenses, like I just mentioned. I have I have Texas Tech moving on to the Sweet 16. Good defensive teams winning college basketball. Alabama is too inconsistent for me. They could make a Final Four run. They also could lose in the first round. That's just too inconsistent for me to pick, which means they're probably going to go to the Final Four, just knowing my luck. Texas Tech goes on to the Sweet 16. Davidson, 10 seed Davidson versus 2 seed Duke. I have, just trying to move my phone. Too many notifications when you're trying to record. 10 seed Davidson versus 2 seed Duke. I have the Duke Blue Devils moving on. I think if Michigan State was there, there'd be a little more run for their money because Tom Izzo is experienced in the tournament. Davidson, really not, maybe outside of the Steph Curry run. Duke, too talented. Coach Case last year, they're not getting bounced in the round of 32. Duke's making the Sweet 16. Guys, the top 4 seeds are making it to the Sweet 16. 1 seed Gonzaga, 4 seed Arkansas. Arkansas does not have the talent or the steam power to go by the Zags. Gonzaga, going to the Elite Eight. I think Gonzaga is just too much of a wagon with Chet Holmgren and Drew Timme. I don't think Texas Tech has anywhere near the firepower to compete with Gonzaga. Gonzaga defeats the 4 seed, and they are on to the Elite Eight, guys. Texas Tech, Duke, 3 seed Texas Tech, 2 seed Duke. This is another upset. I got the Texas Tech moving on to the Elite Eight. I think Duke is so inconsistent for me. Lost Coach K's final game to UNC at home. Lost Coach K's final ACC championship game to Virginia Tech, which helped get Virginia Tech into the tournament. I don't see a Duke team that is consistent enough on the offensive side of the ball to go against a Texas Tech team that is super disciplined, that is a gritty, tough defensive team. I got to see Texas Tech play live against my Friars. Obviously, the Friars defeated Texas Tech, but that was a tough uphill battle. I like Texas Tech going to the Elite Eight. West Region, Elite Eight, guys. Who is punching their ticket to the Final Four? 1 seed Gonzaga, 3 seed Texas Tech. I have Texas Tech punching their ticket. I love their defense. I love Mark Adams. He's done a great job since Chris Beard's left. They have not skipped a beat. This team is too talented. They got O'Banner for this exact reason. They have guards and arms and McCullers and Shannon that can score and defend. Texas Tech is too good. Gonzaga's run ends in the Elite Eight, and the first Final Four team that I punched in their ticket out of the West region is Texas Tech is going to the Final Four. Comment down below what you guys think. Moving on down to the East region, I got the 1 seed Baylor taking on the 16 seed Norfolk State. Baylor defeats Norfolk State. We are not having a 16 seed defeat a 1 seed this year. 8 seed North Carolina, 9 seed Marquette. I think Marquette is just way too inconsistent for me. Shaka Smart's first year, Justin Lewis and Devin Morcell are very good. Outside of that, I really don't trust them to score. Maybe a little bit of Tyler Kolek, but they're not good enough defensively, especially Justin Lewis, who's a great offensive player and he's going to be a stud potentially in the NBA, but is too inconsistent defensively. I just don't see Marquette defeating UNC. And RJ Davis, Caleb Love, Armani Bacot, too good for UNC. UNC is going to the round of 32 to take on Baylor. 5 seed St. Mary's versus the winner of the 12 seed Wyoming, Indiana. This could be a potential upset pick, especially if Indiana can win. But I think St. Mary's is too good of a shooting team. The 12-5 seed is not happening. We know St. Mary's is full of shooters, full of a disciplined team that love shooting the ball. St. Mary's out of the West Coast Conference, I have them as a 5 seed. They're moving on to the round of 32. 4 seed UCLA, 13 seed Akron. This is also another upset pick because of UCLA being super, super inconsistent this year. I just don't see it. I think UCLA went to the Final Four last year. They have too many proven players, even though they had a quote-unquote 4 seed. Is a disappointing year after losing in the Final Four last year to Gonzaga on that Jalen Suggs half-court shot. I still like UCLA. Johnny Juzang is just too good. Jaime Jaquez, too good of scores. I think UCLA goes on to the round of 32. 6 seed Texas, 11 seed Virginia Tech. I got an upset. The Hokies are hot. And when you're hot in March, you are hot and you don't stop being hot until you win the championship. Not saying Virginia Tech's going to win the championship. Texas is way too inconsistent. Lost Trey Mitchell halfway through the year. The personal reasons. Marcus Carr is just not the same Marcus Carr he was at Minnesota. Texas tried to piece together a ton of transfers. It has worked to get them to a 6 seed in Chris Beard's first year. Chris Beard is building something. Texas is going to get back in a couple years. This is not the year. I got the Hokies defeating Texas in the 11-6 matchup. 3 seed Purdue, 14 seed Yale. Look, the Ivies are always a tough team to pick against because they're so disciplined and they're so, I guess, gritty and know how to play a certain style of offense. But Yale wasn't the best team in the Ivy League Conference. Even though they won their conference tournament, they still don't, in my opinion, think that they're the best team in the Ivy League. I thought Princeton was, even though they defeated Princeton. I like Purdue to roll. Purdue defense scares me for potentially advancing deep into this tournament, but I like Purdue getting out of the first round. 7 seed Murray State, 10 seed San Francisco. Murray State seemed to go 10 or 11 seed halfway through the year, and they rose through the year. So that would have been an awesome upset pick for people, but I'm flipping. They're going to ones be getting upset. San Francisco, not talked a lot about in the West Coast Conference because of Gonzaga and because of St. Mary's. San Francisco is such a great team to watch. They're so enjoyable to watch, even though they're on super weight. So you guys might, if you're on the East Coast, might not be able to catch most of their games. I have San Francisco actually upsetting Murray State because Murray State's usually the underdog. Even though they finished 30-2, I like San Francisco to upset Murray State in the first round. 2-seed Kentucky, 15-seed St. Peter's. I actually got to see St. Peter's live because we played them early on in the non-con year. Kentucky's too much. I got Kentucky defeating St. Peter's. Don't need to get into that. Round of 32 in the East region, guys. Baylor taking on the 8-seed UNC. I have Baylor moving past UNC. UNC, like most of the ACC teams, are just so inconsistent. I have Baylor. I think, obviously, they won the championship last year. This team is nowhere near that championship team. They still can make an Elite Eight, Final Four push, even a national championship push. But UNC just too inconsistent in Hubert David's first year. They get bounced in the round of 32. St. Mary's 5-seed, 4-seed UCLA. I got St. Mary's upsetting UCLA. I just don't like UCLA enough as I did last year when they made their incredible run to the Final Four. St. Mary's is super talented, super guard heavy, can shoot the ball, super disciplined, and they're not going to be afraid of UCLA. St. Mary's is going on to the Sweet 16 to take on Baylor. Virginia Tech, the 11 seed, taking on the 3 seed Purdue. Purdue, you don't play defense. When you don't play defense in March, your team gets bounced early, and they're going to get bounced early. I like VT. They're super hot to go to the Sweet 16. And the final team in the round of 32 in the East region, San Francisco taking on Kentucky. I have San Francisco Kentucky defeating Kentucky, guys. There's a lot of talking because it's just me. But hey, we got to power through. That's the beauty of the Talk Sports podcast. We power through. Kentucky, 2-seed, taking on the 10-seed San Francisco. I have Kentucky defeating San Francisco, going on to the Sweet 16. Baylor versus St. Mary's, the 1 versus the 5. This is when St. Mary's' run ends. Baylor is too good. Akinjo at the point guard, I just love him, and I think he's going to be too much for St. Mary's. Baylor's going on to the Elite Eight. 11-seed Virginia Tech, 2-seed Kentucky. Virginia Tech's magical run to the Sweet 16 ends in the hands of Ty Washington, Oshibwe. They're just going to be too much for Kentucky. Keon Brooks, Severe Wheeler, John Calipari. Kentucky is going to the Elite Eight. And then the 2-seed Kentucky versus the 1-seed Baylor in the Elite Eight. I have Kentucky. I don't think there's anybody in the country, if he doesn't get in foul trouble, as we saw in the SEC semifinals against Tennessee, can guard Oshibwe. He stays out of foul trouble. Ty Washington, the young point guard, along with the veteran Severe Wheeler and Keon Brooks. Kentucky's too much. They're going to the Final Four. So the West region team going to the Final Four is Texas Tech. And then I got Kentucky out of the East. Comment down below what you guys think. We're flipping. We're going to the South region. 1-seed Arizona are taking on the winner of Wright State. Bryant, doesn't matter who wins that game. Arizona is going to the round of 32. 8-seed Seton Hall, 9-seed TCU. TCU is not talked about enough, and that's exactly why they're going to win this game. Seton Hall is way too inconsistent for me. I've seen them multiple times. They looked horrible in the quarterfinals against UConn at the Big East tournament. I do not like Seton Hall at all. I do like Rhoden. I just don't see them as a team that can advance far in the tournament. I have TCU going to the round of 32. 5-seed Houston, 12-seed UAB. I'm not saying I know a ton about UAB or have watched a lot of UAB games, but Houston is super overrated. This is not the same team that made a Final Four last year. Houston is the second 5-seed to get bounced. They're down to UAB. UAB advancing to the round of 32. Wow, this is going to be a matchup. 4-seed Illinois, 13-seed Chattanooga, probably the best 13-seed we got out there. I love Chattanooga. They finished 27-7, but I think Kofi Cockburn is going to be too much. I don't think they've seen anybody anywhere near Kofi Cockburn. I have Illinois advancing to the round of 32 to take on UAB. Guys, 6-seed Colorado State, 11-seed Michigan. Michigan's favorite. I'm riding Michigan. Hunter Dickinson, too much for Colorado State. Obviously, Colorado State had a great year out west, but I don't trust them enough. I don't think I've seen them enough, and they're 6-seed. Michigan is super veteran-laden. They're playing behind Juwan Howard after that incident. I'm not going to get involved in that conversation. I like Michigan advancing to the round of 32. 3-seed Tennessee, 14-seed Longwood. There's been a lot of discussion last night after the bracket was released, guys, that Tennessee deserved a better seed. Look, prove it to me. They're going to defeat Longwood. Tennessee is going to the round of 32. And the final two matchups of the first round in the South region, 7-seed Ohio State, 10-seed Loyola Chicago. I am not betting against Loyola Chicago in the first round. Ohio State 19-11 as a 7th seed. That is very generous in my opinion. They've played a very tough schedule, but this is not a typical Ohio State team. I don't see them advancing out of the first round. I like Loyola Chicago. Sister Jean. Why are we betting on Sister Jean? Why are we betting against Sister Jean? You never bet against Sister Jean. Ride Sister Jean until you stop riding her. Sister Jean moving on to the round of 32. 2-seed Villanova, 15-seed Delaware. Delaware is very good. They have the freshman Jair Davis, transfer from Providence. But Villanova with Jay Wright, Justin Moore, Colin Gillespie. They're not, this is Colin Gillespie's last tournament. For one sure thing, they're not getting bounced in the first round. They are moving to Pittsburgh to take on Chicago in the round of 32. Excuse me, guys. Arizona 1-seed taking on the 9-seed TCU. I have Arizona. They're such a wagon. They're probably one of the funnest teams to watch in college basketball. Tommy Lloyd doing wonders with this Arizona program. They're going to, I think, absolutely obliterate TCU if they're going to the Sweet 16. UAB versus Illinois. UAB's quick little Cinderella runs before it gets started. They defeat Houston. They just cannot defeat Illinois. I don't think most people can stop Kofi Cockburn. Illinois is going to the Sweet 16. Michigan taking on Tennessee, the 11-seed versus 3-seed. Tennessee, prove it to me why you should have been a better seed. I agree you should have been a better seed, but nothing you can do about it now, but prove it to me why you should be a better seed. And right now they're gonna defeat Michigan going on to the 16. Kenny Chandler, too much. James, such a good three-point shooter. We saw them win the SEC championship. This team is very, very good. As a 3-seed, Loyola Chicago taking on Nova. Loyola Chicago, you're not going to the Sweet 16. You're not making your Final Four run this year. I have Villanova with Gillespie, with Justin Moore, with Slater, Big East champions defeating Loyola Chicago and going on in the Sweet 16. Arizona taking on Illinois in the 1-4 matchup. Give me Zona. I think Arizona might be the best team in college basketball. They can slow down Kofi Cockburn. This team is loaded up and down the court. I have Arizona defeating Illinois. Arizona versus Nova. I jumped the gun, guys. I just spoiled my prediction. Tennessee versus Villanova. I think Tennessee's run ends in Sweet 16. Gillespie, Justin Moore, Slater, Samuels, Dixon, Caleb Daniels, basically just named the whole team that plays. They're too veteran-laden. They're not getting bounced in Sweet 16. They're going to the Elite 8 in the South region, take on Arizona. A 1-2 matchup, I know, guys, that is basic and it probably won't happen. It's just what I see. Arizona defeats Villanova, in my opinion. I have Arizona going to the Final Four. I think this team might win the national championship, just to let you guys know. Nova run ends in the Elite 8. And out of the South region, Arizona is going to the Final Four. Out of the West region, I have Texas Tech, the 3-seed. I have Kentucky, the 2-seed, 1-seed Arizona. And we have our final region, the Midwest region, guys. 1-seed Kansas taking on the winner of Texas Southern versus Texas A&M CC. Yeah, it doesn't matter who wins that game. Kansas go into the round of 32. 8-seed San Diego State, 9-seed Creighton. I was at the Big East tournament, got to see Creighton play twice. Quarterfinals against Marquette, and then smoke my Friars in the semifinals. Creighton is going to be way too much of San Diego State, who lost in the Mountain West Championship, but still was able to get an automatic qualifier. This Creighton team, even though it's super young, I love them. They're hungry. They're doubted. They're going to win their 9-8 matchup and go on to face Kansas in the second round, round 32. We have the 5-seed Iowa taking on the 12-seed Richmond. I've already picked 2 12 seeds to win. Usually a third doesn't happen. I have Iowa. They're not super athletic. Buchanan hit that crazy shot. They did just win the Big Ten championship. Keegan Murray is incredible. McCaffrey, Buchanan, not athletic, don't play a lot of defense, but I think they escaped the automatic qualifier out of the A-10, and that is Richmond. My Friars, 25-5, which is incredible to say. Lost in the semifinals to Creighton in the Big East tournament. Did defeat Butler in the quarterfinals. 4-seed versus 13-seed South Dakota State. South Dakota State, guys, number 1 shooting, 3-point shooting team in the NBA in college basketball. But the best rebounder is not over 6'6", one of the worst defensive teams and one of the worst interior defensive teams. Nate Watson, Noah Harkless, Justin Minaya are going to have field days. The Friars roll. They defeat South Dakota State in the 4-13 matchup to take on Iowa in the second round. LSU, the 6-seed, taking on the 11 seed Iowa State. I like Iowa State. I know Iowa State was super inconsistent, but the amount of quad one wins this team has is unreal. 20-12, taking on, I thought they should have been a higher seed, taking on an LSU team that doesn't have their head coach after Will Wade was fired for academic and NCAA violations. They were with an interim head coach. Too much drama around their program. Iowa State's defeating the 6 seed LSU. 3 seed Wisconsin, 14 seed Colgate. Colgate, every time they get in, or every time a Patriot League team gets in, always a very hot NCAA tournament pick. Not this year. Wisconsin, 24-7, 2 discipline. 3 seed is advancing. Take on Iowa State in the second round. 7 seed USC, 10 seed Miami. I do not like this USC team. The Pac-12 is absolute a joke of a conference. They don't play anybody. I know Mobley's very good, Evan Mobley, but I like Miami. I like Charlie Moore. Both conferences are coming out of not great team. Both teams are coming out of not great conferences, but I like Jim Larinaga a little better than I like Andy Enfield. Give me Miami upsetting the 7 seed USC. Final game in the first round, 2 seed Auburn, 15 seed Jacksonville State. I like Auburn. I don't love Auburn. They're a little bit fraudulent for being a 2 seed. They're not losing to Jacksonville State. Auburn's going on to the round of 32. Guys, we're almost done. If you guys want to drop your Final Four predictions, drop them down below. Drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's keep going. Kansas, Creighton, round of 32, 1 seed, 9 seed. Creighton's young team comes to an end. Ochai Agbaji is too much. McCormick is too much. Kansas is going to the Sweet 16. Iowa versus the Providence College. I have PC defeating Sweet 16. I think this is a game that can go either way, but I think Iowa doesn't play good enough defense, not athletic enough. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm not. I'm not going to pick PC to win every game. Obviously not. PC is going to the Sweet 16 to take on Kansas. Iowa State versus Wisconsin, the 11-3 matchup. I just don't see Iowa State being offensively skilled enough to defeat Wisconsin. Wisconsin, Johnny Davis, might be the second best player in college basketball. Him, Ochai Agbaji, Keegan Murray, Oshibwe. I think Johnny Davis is too much. I like Wisconsin going on to the Sweet 16. 10 seed Miami, 2 seed Auburn. I have Auburn, the Auburn Tigers defeating Miami on a last-second shot. I think this game is going to be extremely close because I think Auburn's a little fraudulent. So I think Miami's good enough to take down Auburn like some of these other SEC teams. 1 seed Kansas, 4 seed Providence College. This is where the Kansas Jayhawks and the Providence Fire Sweet 16 run, which I wouldn't be ashamed of if we lost in Sweet 16 to Kansas, comes to an end. I like Kansas going to the Elite Eight. And who are they going to take on? They're going to take on the Wisconsin Badgers, the 3 seed coming out of that side of the bracket, upsetting the 2 seed Auburn. This is when Auburn's fraudulent comes when they play a legit team outside of non-Jacksonville State or Miami. I think they're just not good enough to slow down Johnny Davis, Brad Davidson. Give me Wisconsin taking on Kansas, the 3 seed versus the 1 seed. I got the Kansas Jayhawks coming out of the Midwest region and going to the Final Four. Ochai Agbaji is too much. McCormick is too much for Wisconsin. Wisconsin doesn't have any interior defense. I think McCormick has a field day. I got Kansas going to the Final Four. Out of the West region, I have the 3 seed Texas Tech. East region, I got the 2 seed Kentucky. South region, I got the 1 seed Arizona and the 1 seed Midwest the 1 seed Kansas out of the Midwest region. 3 seed Texas Tech taking on Kentucky in the Final Four. John Calipari takes the dub. I think Oshibwe is just too much for Texas Tech. The theme is big men. I think Severe Wheeler, Ty Washington, Keon Brooks is too much for Texas Tech. Give me Kentucky going on to the Final Four. And then I got a battle of the 1 seed. So guys, I didn't pick all 1 seeds. I got 2 1 seeds, a 3 seed, and a 2 seed. Arizona, Kansas, matchup for the ages, goes to overtime, but Tommy Lloyd and his squad defeats Kansas, and Kansas loses a heartbreaker in the Final Four. Guys, comment down below who you got for the Final Four. Comment down below who you have winning the national championship. I got the 2 seed Kentucky out of the West East region taking on the 1 seed Arizona out of the South and Midwest regions. I have Arizona defeating Kentucky 70-64 in the national championship. Tommy Lloyd wins his first championship, and I think Arizona is the best team in college basketball. And I think Arizona is going to win the national championship. Guys, comment down below your Final Four picks. Comment down below who you think is going to win the national championship, and comment down below one upset you think, or one Cinderella team that you think they can make a Sweet 16 run. Guys, this video will be coming out Monday afternoon. I'm recording it Monday. I hope you guys have a great week. Start with the first 4 tonight. Carry all month. NCAA tournament games start Thursday at 12 o'clock or 12:15, excuse me. Best time of the year. Make sure you guys fill out multiple brackets. You guys will see my pick and JR's pick, Final Four picks, on Thursday on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. Drop a comment, drop a like. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. That will be in the description. And if you guys want to hear this in audio form, go to Apple Podcasts and you can listen to the Talking Sports Podcast on Apple Podcasts. SeatGeek, guys, $20 off your first purchase for tickets to concerts and sporting events using our code Talking Sports Pod. That'll be in the description. Go to SeatGeek.com. Use Talking Sports Pod for $20 off your first purchase. Guys, until next time, this was the Talking Sports Podcast, hosted by Peter DiBiasi and John Rocco and Trumpbour. Enjoy March Madness and go Friars.